Wow.
All right. What's up, everybody? I'm here. Let's get things started. Sorry for the delay. Sorry. What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday. Happy early afternoon. Good morning. It's morning somewhere, right? What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a wonderful weekend. Hope you are having a great Sunday so far. I'm here, Renee, your talking head on the internet. And yeah, I'm a little late today because I was up late. And I'll explain why I was up late last night. Actually, it's kind of related to what we're going to be talking about today. And today is going to be just a stream full of video game conversation. I haven't had a chance to really talk about video games much here on the channel. It's something that I've always wanted to talk about. It's just, when you think about topics and when you think about kind of things to discuss on the channel when you're just one guy, focus has to be where I am really surrounded myself more in, what I find myself more passionate about. And movies has always been like that for me. Movies and TV, right? But there is a huge part of my life that revolved around gaming, ever since I was a little kid. And then, if you are familiar with the channel, if you're familiar with me, I worked in the game industry. So I have like a really deep fondness and love for video games. But when it comes to current generations, I have been a little bit withdrawn from it, only because lack of time, lack of funds. Even though I own all the systems, I'll tell you what, my PlayStation 5 rarely gets any play, if any. In like the last couple of months, it got the most play it's ever gotten since I got it because of Helldivers 2. My Nintendo Switch basically stays in the dock forever at this point. Rarely do I ever turn that sucker on. And my Xbox Series X is mainly my multimedia entertainment system. I use it to watch Netflix, YouTube, Max, Disney Plus, and occasionally I'll play games on it, really, if I'm to be completely honest with you. I've been getting better because I've been doing my best to kind of fill in and check off games on my backlog. That's been a mission of mine going into this year. I created this mission. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, and I don't know why I always forget this, but it's kind of easy to forget it because there's so much to juggle here when you're doing stuff like this. But I am now officially live on YouTube Shorts. So you're going to hear me say this every time I'm live. If you are comfortable with your familiar format as far as watching video, watching live streams like on your TV, laptop, or whatever the case, horizontal wise, you're already here. You already know that. If you love watching TikTok and Instagram and you prefer like the vertical format on your phone, because I know a lot of people watch videos on their phones, and I notice a lot of people who watch my videos on the channel watches it on their phone. You can now have a vertical version of the live stream on YouTube Shorts. So if you want that, you can see it on the channel. We should be live now, and you have access to both formats depending on what your preference is. So wanted to get that out of the way. So yeah, so like the current generation of video games right now is in a way very confusing to me, because there was such a major push, and it could be like timing, it could be just weird circumstances with how things are when this current generation started unveiling itself. But there was such a huge push to release the Xbox Series X, even though I never understood what the rush was, because I felt like we just really recently got the Xbox One, right? And then the PlayStation 4, I guess, it's been around, but I feel like with the release of the PlayStation 4 Pro, developers are getting a little bit more power to work with, and they're finally sinking their teeth into the generation of that time. So when there was a huge push for the PlayStation 5, I was like, what is the real advancement we're going to see? And yes, when you look at games like Miles Morales, Returnal, games like that, I look at those games and I was like, oh, you know what? It does look different. It does look really good. But where have all the other current gen games have been? I feel like it's been spread out very sporadically, if any at all. And there's been a lot of focus on third party, where the AAA games, there have been very few and far in between, right? And now we're seeing that is obviously causing a lot of troubles in the industry right now, because a lot of the developers that these companies have bought up have unfortunately been closed down to save money, to consolidate resources, to reconfigure their business plans moving forward, and it's caused a lot of controversy and a lot of trouble in the video game industry. And that's why a lot of this stuff very much confuses me as to what's really happening right now. Nintendo, they've had the Switch out for a very long time, and it's starting to feel dated. So the promise of the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out, early next year maybe, from what it looks like, I think it's long overdue. That is something that needs to catch up with this current generation that we're in. Not saying that it's a bad system now, it's still pretty decent, but I mean, the technology and the hardware is really kind of behind the ball at the moment, especially when you compare it to the other consoles and the other platforms. And then in between all of that, you have the huge, it's always been big, but I do feel like in recent years, the major boom of PC gaming has vastly increased. More and more people are playing games on their PCs. Now, when you have your Steam Decks, your ROG Allies, all those portable devices, a lot of people are now playing stuff on those devices, and they're enjoying it. They're loving it. The ease of use, the portability. So I feel like there are so many now new options for gamers to play games on. And it's not necessarily have to be tied to one particular system anymore, right? But at the same time, I have always felt like there was always, especially in recent years, there's too much focus on the tech side of things, too much focus on, ray tracing and graphics, and there's a lot of the keywords, the buzzwords out there, VSS and NVIDIA this and blah blah blah. where's the stories? I am a very story-driven gamer. I love playing games that have stories attached to them. The minute there's no story and I'm just doing things that are very redundant, repetitive, I lose interest immediately. Like immediately. What's going on, Star-Lord? Star-Lord, I don't like how games just keep pushing for more graphics. Look at that. Star-Lord and I are on the same page. That's exactly what I'm talking about right now. That's why Star-Lord is an awesome dude. I feel like the lack of story right now is abysmal. It sucks because so many game companies were caught up in the trend of trying to recreate Fortnite. Blame the pandemic, blame whatever you want. Fortnite proved itself to be a monster, a beast, right? Now everyone wants to do, a service-like game like that. Because they're also seeing that games like that make money, right? What was it that Sony recently just said? I read it in an article somewhere that last year was very profitable for them because of in-game purchases. Not because of their own game selling, but because of in-game purchases. Is that something you really want to, toot your horn about? Not really. Now, I get it as a business model, release a game and then constantly support that game with DLC, additional things, blah, 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 all that. Look at Grand Theft Auto. That's what they've been riding on for years now. Grand Theft Auto 6 came out during the PlayStation 4 360 era, and yet people are still playing it today like nuts, right? Because of all the DLC, all the added content, all the additional things. It was only late last year that we've got an announcement that they're working on a GTA 6. I mean, GTA was at 7. What did I say? GTA 5. Sorry. I meant GTA 5. That came out in, the 360 PS4 era. PS3 era? Yeah, PS3 era. Right? And then it survived multiple generations after that. It's only last year that we got an announcement that GTA 6 was coming out. So I understand it in a business perspective, for sure. But for other companies, other developers who don't have that type of game system, meaning gaming kind of structure, right? You have to entice people by story. There was a narrative for a long time that the gaming industry was more profitable or making more money than the movie industry. I wonder what the case is like now, because right now it just seems all very confusing and convoluted to me. So, Lord, remember when Euclidean Unlimited Detail had atoms instead of polygons? Nobody talks about that anymore. Recently, I tried playing GTA 5, but it automatically restarted the whole game before I got to the... Really? That's interesting. I wonder if it's because of the introduction to GTA Online. Something about storage corruption. Oh, that's weird. The reason why I bring up the whole GTA Online thing is because I last year, towards the end of last year, I finally, for the first time, decided I wanted to play GTA 5. I didn't want to play it for a while because I was so sick of the open world type of games. That was like the trend at the time. And again, this industry is very trendy. It goes on, it hops on board certain trends, right? Back in the day, the fighting trend was huge, right? So when Street Fighter 2 blew up like it did, everyone had to do their own Street Fighter-like game. And Mortal Kombat, I would argue, came up around the same time. So it's either they're trying to be like a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter, right? So that was like the big trend that everyone was trying to do. When Final Fantasy blew up, everyone, well, I wouldn't say everyone, but American companies were trying to see how can we recreate something like that, because Japanese companies have already been doing JRPGs for a long time. But then there was the big trend of at the time of open world, because Grand Theft Auto created this amazing open world experience that, yes, there is a story that you could, play through if you want, but you want to do this thing instead, you want to go over here and do this instead, by all means, go for it. And I feel like most of the time, most people will just spend so much time doing this over here, doing that over there, delivering groceries to old lady over here, instead of like following the main storyline, right? And of course, like a lot of people, I did the same thing. When I first played Grand Theft Auto 3, that's what I did. Fun fact, also, I worked for the company that put out the original Grand Theft Auto back in the day, when it was just like a top-down thing. What's up, Geek Ledger? Geek Ledger comedy. I mean, I think the game industry is still making more money than the movie industry, just because the movie industry has been kind of wonky since 2020. Video games never had. Absolutely correct. Yes, true. But I guess let me rephrase that then, because obviously the pandemic hurt the movie industry for several years, right? While the gaming industry, they constantly were able to put out things and take advantage of people staying at home for the most part. Are people getting more value for their buck that they spend on gaming today than movies? Now, I some would argue that there's a lot of bad movies out there, but when you look at it as far as movies that are like the big budget blockbuster movies, yes, a lot of the quality has definitely suffered. But there have been a lot of amazing independent movies that are kind of middle tier as far as budget and, marketing and acclaim, that I would say have been fantastic. And the last 2 years, there have been a lot of great movies like that. But when it comes to gaming, how satisfied are people with their game purchases, versus what they're spending? Because games have increased in value too, as far as how much they cost. The new model seems to be now, what, $70 for a new game? 60, $70, which is outrageous. And I know you could also make the argument that back in the Super Nintendo days, there were games that cost $60, $70, but not all of them did. But I feel like that's the new standard that everyone's trying to push out there now, right? Anything that they could do to make money or keep up with making money and all that. Star-Lord saying, GTA 5 sucks. Why do I need to play the beginning and can't skip cutscenes? Installing 7 gigs of storage. I bought a USB flash drive for nothing. Well, that sucks, man. What system were you trying to play it on? Out of curiosity. Or were you trying to play it on your PC? But going back, so yeah, the whole open world trend was a big thing. So you had everyone trying to mimic that, right? Saints Row, and then there's multiple other things. Even you can even say Assassin's Creed is considered like an open world experience, right? Now the current trend is the whole, service like games, right? Your Fortnites, all that. And when I'm going to talk about the current state of play that Sony just released this past week. And I felt like we're getting a lot more of that stuff. Everything for me looks very much like Valorant, looks very much like Overwatch, and maybe this is just spillage, after them already working on these things. So they feel they have to release these because they've already spent so much money on it. But this can't continue, I think, personally. Geek Ledger, I also think it depends on what game you're playing and for what price. I'm patient. I have a huge backlog. Same. I'm the same. 1000%. I typically pick up a game that I'm not 100% hyped for 2 to 3 years later after a discount. I'm exactly like you. I've stopped buying and playing new games. I would say probably for 5 years now. I am always the last one to play a new game, right? Because I tell people all the time, if you are not in a rush, the best time to buy games is during Black Friday, like during the holidays, or like around this time of year when summer's about to kick off. because everyone has huge discounts in order to take advantage of kids being off from school for the summer, right? So those are usually the best time to buy games, and that's usually when I find myself buying these games. What's up, D? Is there a possibility of a Red Dead Red Dead 1 remastered? I don't want to say anything. I used to know people who worked at Rockstar, and I heard that at one point they were working on a Red Dead Redemption 1 remaster. I don't know where it is now, but I know that they canceled a lot of projects on their end. That's all I'll say. And I don't know if, again, if those things are accurate, but I'll say that. Starlord was trying to install GTA 5 on a broke-ass 3 gigabyte 360. Freezes my YouTube app too. That sucks, man. That really sucks. I wonder if, because the 360 has been out for a while, I wonder if it just needs some... You might have to open that bad boy up and put... What is that? The stuff that you put on the CPU. You might have to put some of that that fluid, that gel on it to help kind of push the heat. It might be overheating. I don't know. Geek Ledger RDR1 got a PS4 Xbox One port with better FPS. I know it's not a remaster, but it's nice. It's just not worth the $50 it launched at. I agree. I actually just played Red Dead Redemption 1 for the first time last year. And I played it on my Series X, and it looked great. For an old game like that, for me personally, I think it looked fantastic. And I think the games right now, I mean, that game, playing it so many years after the fact, I still enjoyed it, So I do have Red Dead 2, and I'll eventually play it. What are your top 5 games right now? D says. So right now, so here's one of the reasons why I was late today and why I was up late last night. For the very first time, I have finally beat Persona 3 Reloaded. This was my very first Persona game that I've ever played, and it sucked me in. According to my save state right now, I've spent 290 hours on this fucking game. And I finally beat it last night. I knew I was at the end, and I was like, I can't go to bed yet. I have to just finish this. Because if you've ever played the Persona games, I don't know if every game's like this, but I'm assuming at this point it is. It's like you're playing through an anime series. So it takes a very freaking long time. Very long. This ending, with the multiple bosses you have to play through, it took 3 hours to get through the whole thing. And I was just like, my God, it's maddening at this point. Like, I just want the game to end. I feel like I spent most of my life this year playing this damn game. But at the end of the day, I will say this. It was extremely enjoyable. It was fun. I can see why there's a huge fan base for these games. I thought the Reloaded version is very well done. I love the anime cutscenes. I love the remodels of the characters. Everything looked great. I enjoyed it immensely. And I would recommend it to anyone who has a lot of time to dedicate to a game like this. It's so funny too, because, in that game you build on relationships, right? And that's how you can kind of fuse more personas and, improve on personas and this and that. At the end, I was just trying to see how many girlfriends I could rack up. So during the ending, you go through these conversations with people that you've developed the strongest relationship social links with, right? And I literally had to go through, I think, 4 different scenarios that we were kind of dating or girlfriends. And I was laughing my ass off. This guy, my character was a big slut.
Wow.
Big slut. And I was dying because it was just so funny. So I will say, oh, my camera's out of focus. Oh, hopefully it's better now. This is what happens when I talk too much with my hands. So I'll limit it to this hand over here. Sorry, but Ledger, I really appreciate the heads up on that. Let me read some comments. Sorry. And if you guys are wondering like who I'm talking to sometimes, I have 2 concurrent streams on YouTube right now, just for different formats, the vertical format and then the usual standard format. So, you know, don't think I'm just talking to myself. Starlord says, I want to go back to retro gaming, platform games. I would make games with Unreal Engine. This one time I copied a mapped out area of my city through Google Maps and digitized it on Unreal Engine. Dude, that's awesome. That's really awesome. I'm also right there with you on platform games and retro gaming. I've been doing a lot of that in the last couple of years because honestly, it's easier to just jump into and I don't have to dedicate so much time to. D says, I am recovering from my back surgery. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you're doing well with that. And all I have been doing day and night while being in bed most of the day is playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Awesome. The game looks great. I can't wait to finally play it whenever I have the chance. So I hope you're recovering well from the surgery. Anything having to do with the back sucks. I know this because in my mid-20s, I had a herniated disc, and it was the 2 worst years I would ever say I had. As far as like pain is concerned, I could not sit down longer than 10 minutes. I could not stand up and walk more than 15, 20 minutes without excruciating pain every time. So I can empathize with you big time. Back problems suck. So if you can, as much as possible, try to avoid it. Sometimes you can't, but I know how bad it is. D says, it's an amazing game. Thank you. I'm recovering well. I'm in my late 20s. Okay, so it sounds like you're like around the same time I had my back problem. So I don't know if that's a common thing. Surgery was not an option for me. They just said, change your sleeping habits, your sleeping position, get up, stretch, walk around, go to PT. After 2 years, it will magically go away. And honestly, kind of did. So I'm hoping your recovery will go well and smoothly. Geek Ledger, I'm planning on starting retro gaming, getting a PlayStation Classic. Nice. Awesome. A lot of amazing games on the original PlayStation. Lots of great games. I got it. You know, I went back to retro gaming, I would say probably 3-4 years ago. I was always a major fan of retro games. I mean, I grew up with that stuff, right? So my first ever video game system was an Atari 2600. That's how I'm dating myself, but I have so much fond memories of the original Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the Genesis. And I realized in the last 3 years with a good friend of mine that there's so many games that came out during these eras that I played, but I never completed. I never finished. And he was along the same boat. So what we started to do last year was that we started playing a lot of co-op games from those generations, like the older generations, and just actually dedicate the time to finish them now. You know, because I feel like the older we got, the more we understand these games, and the more fun it is to kind of like reminisce and recall, you know, what was I doing when I first played this game? What was my life at that time? So it's also in a way a great bonding experience too with my friend and like kind of thinking back of the good old days. Let's see here. Starlord, I built up a spaceship one time that you can run around in with a giant in-game monitor playing real YouTube video. That sounds amazing. I also designed a drive-in theater, cars and NPCs. Starlord, you should start making your own indie type games or something. you should find a way to incorporate your work in Unreal Engine with something that you can do for work or something like that, because it sounds like you're getting a lot out of it, which is awesome. Geek Ledger, I really hope we get an Xbox Classic sometime. I never played the OG Xbox. I had a PS2 and a GameCube, but no Xbox. That would be interesting if they did that. You know, I don't know what it would involve in making something like that, but there are a lot of amazing Xbox games that came out for the original Xbox. What I will recommend, honestly, is find a used Xbox, an original Xbox, and just have it modded, because that was one of the first systems that was so easy to modify, and I never knew how to modify anything back in the day. And the Xbox, the original OG Xbox, was the first one that I actually attempted to do it. And I found it to be extremely easy. I upgraded my hard drive, dumped a whole bunch of games on that sucker. I even upgraded the DVD drive for it, because it's so easy to like switch components out for that system. It felt like I was working with a PC. And I used to build PCs back in the day. So that's why I found it kind of easy to work with. And I really, really enjoyed it. It's so easy to do it now. And I feel like now they have mod chips that are so easy to work with, don't require any soldering whatsoever. And you could easily just do that. So, you know, if you're serious about really getting back into that, I would highly, highly recommend getting a used Xbox and modding it. And then that would be like the best way you could experience some of the great Xbox games, because there were many back then. Really, there were. Starlord, all I was missing was a console controller which was compatible, including VR. Dude, that sounds amazing, man. It sounds like you just had so much fun with Unreal Engine. You should really do more of that stuff, to be honest with you. And see how you could like incorporate that to a business or something that will help with work. Because I think that's really awesome. But yeah, so me and my friend, we started this kind of thing where now we go back and we play co-op games. And, you know, I'm realizing how awesome a lot of these older games were, you know, and I'm finally saying that I can, you know, say that I've completed and played through, you know, a good amount of old games. I mean, our backlog is still tremendously huge. So we have a lot to do and catch up on, but that's the fun of it, you know. So to go back to Dee's question, sorry, I felt like I only half answered it. You know, so Persona 3 was fun. I had a lot of fun with that game. You know, I'm glad I played it. What's going on, Scottish Geek Guy? How you doing? Nice to see you here again. Hope you're doing well. And you know, it's something that made me realize that, you know, these JRPGs are really fun and good, but you need a lot of time on. And that's just something that I just don't have a lot. So, of course, with Persona 4 and Persona 5, I do definitely want to go back and play those. But at the same time, it's like, I don't have the time. So it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to visit those things later on down the road. As far as like the other games that I enjoy right now, as far as like top 5 games at the moment that I'm playing, one of them is another older game. Good to hear you're doing good, Scottish Geek Guy. Really glad to hear that. What was I going to say? Dragon's Crown. Dragon's Crown is something that I started playing with my friend. It's from the developer of Vanillaware, who I really, really love and I enjoy. They recently just came out with a new game, Unicorn Overlord, that I played the demo on, and it's fantastic. So Dragon's Crown is something I never played, and I'm playing it co-op with my friend right now, and it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun. The art style is fantastic. It's great. Everything about it is just very stylized that I really, really enjoy. So that's one of the games I'm enjoying right now at the moment. Lies of P, I keep going back and forth on. I love the art style. I love the graphics. I was never a big Demon Souls kind of guy, like a Souls-like player. But this is definitely that, but lighter version of it. So it's easier for me to play it and get through it. So I've been back and forth on that right now. I've just recently went back and started playing the old Mad Max game from the Xbox One years, because of movies like Furiosa and Fury Road. And I'm enjoying that game, man. That game I feel is kind of underrated. I don't think a lot of people gave much of a chance to that game. And I'm really enjoying it, you know. And maybe it's because I'm just very recently into the whole Mad Max universe, but I'm having so much fun with that game right now, honestly. So that's another game I'm currently trying to play right now. Um, on I'm very close to finally beating Mario and Luigi Stars. Is that the name of the game? The Game Boy Advance game from back in the day? I have an analog pocket, and that's a game that I've been playing a lot recently, and I feel like I'm on the verge of beating it. So that's another game that I'm playing right now. What else? I want to try, because I have Game Pass, I want to try and play the first Hellblade because the sequel just came out. Because I've heard that it's very fun and it's a very cinematic like experience. So I definitely want to give that a shot. Especially I heard if you play it with headphones, that the sound is brilliant. It's like amazing. So I'm very curious about that. But that's all for now. I mean, those are just my current games that I'm into at the moment. As far as like all-time games, I couldn't answer that right now. There's just too many favorites I have had playing games, you know, throughout my life. You know, I could think of like Parappa the Rapper, Klonoa. Those are the two main games that pop up as far as like some of my favorite games of all time. The original Metal Gear Solid, you know, Super Mario Brothers 3 and 2. I love 2. You know, 2 was like one of my favorite Mario games ever that I played. And I know that may be controversial and very different from what a lot of people think, but yes, that is definitely one of my favorites. You know, and I could just go on and on and on about that stuff. Would love to hear you guys, D and Geek Ledger, if you're still there. Would love to hear what your current top 5 games are right now. Starlord, I bet VR could be the future of movie theaters. It can literally be themed with countless assets. True, can be. But the only thing I would be kind of disappointed in, if let's say that is to be the future of movie theaters and the movie going experience, is that you're going to be in VR, but I feel like you're going to lose the atmosphere of being in a theater. You know, that communal experience of being able to engage in laughter, in crying, you know, in all those emotions, because you're going to be so into your VR set that, you know, it takes away a lot of the senses, to be honest with you. And that would be very disappointing, in my opinion. I always wanted to try Super Mario Maker. I know a lot of people who have, not for me. It's just, I don't have the patience for that stuff. But for me, you have definitely like that gamer creative mentality. You know, you're already working in Unreal Engine. So I think that is something that you would probably have a lot of fun in. No RTS titles in your favorites? Max, what's going on? Everyone, that's my boy Max chiming in. StarCraft. StarCraft is definitely one of my all-time favorite RTS games of all time. I played StarCraft relentlessly back in the day with my friends. I still own my PC copy, you know, in storage somewhere. And that is a game that I wouldn't mind going back to even today. Like, that is just some of the best RTS games that I've ever played. StarCraft. What about VR on? What about if VR is online? It's still a social experience. It is, but it's, I guess for me, I don't like the whole digital social interaction. You know, like I know that like, for example, I know I'm talking to you guys on here, right? I don't know you. I don't see your faces, but I am communicating with you, right? And that's okay to me. When it comes to seeing like avatars, like Ready Player One, for example, like a world like that, if that is to be our future, I'm sure I'll get used to it. But right now, I'm not. I don't know if I could actually do that. I'm sure it'll be fun once I get into it, but I don't know. For some reason, for me right now, I don't know. What's going on? I'm sorry I can't read your name because it's in Russian. But hello. Nice seeing you. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for chiming in. You would have loved it on my spaceship. Do you have it in a way that you could like put it out as a demo that people can like putz around in? Because if that's possible, then I wouldn't mind checking it out. Let me know about that, because I would be very much interested in that. All right. Let's talk about the one of the topics I wanted to talk about today. And that is Sony State of Play that released this past week. Star-Lord, it was actually possible. Well, if it's still possible now, you should do it, and I'll check it out. So Sony had their conference. Well, not conference. It's more like a presentation, right? Revealing their current state of games to get people amped and excited for this upcoming year and following year, right? Because I feel like half of the titles that was released or announced aren't coming out for another year or two, which is another problem with this current generation of games too. It's like, I feel like we're not really going to fully experience what the current gen has for another year or two, which is kind of been the trend for these last current generations, where you have a lot of developers that are still getting used to the hardware, getting so used to the technology that you have to wait 5-6 years of the life of a console in order to really, really, truly experience the power that these consoles can do and the type of games that can get developed for it. I would say some of the best games for the last couple of generations were towards the end of its lifespan. That's one of the reasons why you still have developers developing games for PlayStation 4 still, which doesn't make sense to me, because we're going into what, year 4 or 5 of the PlayStation 5? Why are you still developing games for the PlayStation 4? It doesn't make any sense, and that's another problem that we're having right now too. Star-Lord's Ever pre-made builds were a thing to download. My ship is gone. It broke with my PC. Ah, that's... Pour one out to Star-Lord's ship. I don't have anything for that, but...
Wow.
So we're pouring one out for Star-Lord's ship that he created. So let's talk about some of the things that were announced this past week during Sony State of Play 2024. And I'm just going to go off of the order that the blog here chronicles it. I'm not going to go as far as the order as what was revealed during the presentation. And, of course, I'll comment. I think one of the most exciting things that I saw, and something that I found myself getting really into, was when they announced the whole thing for Astrobot. I know for the longest time, a lot of people were really, really hoping for them to develop more around that character Astrobot. I know for VR, I have the first PlayStation VR, and one of the coolest things I experienced on VR was fooling around with Astrobot in that little like kind of playroom that he had. And that was a lot of fun, and the character's cute. And now it looks like we're finally getting a Mario-like game with this character being the main character of the game. And honestly, for me, it looked very fun. It looked interesting. It reminded me of like Mario Galaxy or Mario Odyssey, like one of those type of games. Very Mario-like, and I'm sure tons of people have many comparisons about it. But I feel like we don't get enough of these games anymore. Again, with the main focus is always being on your service-like games, your Fortnite-like games. Those are such a big focus nowadays that it's refreshing to see something like this that's very simple, and reminds me of like the days of your Jax and Dexter and Ratchet and Clank, So I don't know. This is something I could see myself messing around with for sure. And it's actually coming out this year. So I would say that this could be a game that people are probably looking forward to the most to play finally on their PlayStation 5 to, kind of quantify why you even have a damn console in the first place. But yeah, this looks like a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to checking that out eventually. Then we have Concord. Oh boy, this hot mess. When the video for this started playing, and yeah, I've already seen a lot of people made a lot of comparisons to Guardians of the Galaxy. But when I started seeing like the gameplay itself, I'm like, dude, this is so much of Overwatch, Valorant. It reminded me of all those games. And I was just like, another one? Really? And I was just like, there was nothing about this that screamed must play. Nothing. It just looks tiring to get another game like this out there. I don't know how much money they spent developing this. But like I said before, this could possibly be something that they know they shouldn't be doing, but they've spent so much money on already, and they have no choice but to try to hype it up and release it. But it just looks it's like so several years ago at this point. So I don't know. I was not excited about this one bit. I found it to be very like, here we go again. That was like my reaction when I saw this. Starlight, anyone can make that stuff. They made the software easy to use. Yeah, I remember you told me about that before when it comes to Unreal Engine. But, again, there's some people who are good at creating stuff like that, and then there are some people who aren't. I guess I'm the one of the latter. But I am very envious of people that can actually go into those things and build worlds and experiences. So that's why, Starlord, I think you should not stop doing that kind of stuff. Anyway, Concord, bleh, I'm good. Then they spent some time. Oh, you want to know my age? All right, Sony. Everyone's going to see I'm doxing my date of birth right now, which is fine. Not like it matters. They want to know I'm of age. There we go. What? What do you mean it's restricted? You know what? F you. Anyway, they talked about God of War coming out on PC, which is fine. Excited for you PC folks who are finally going to be able to play this game if you want to. So you have that. Starlight says he's just good at stretching 3D blocks with X, Y, and Z. There you go. Then this was something I kind of forgot. All right. You need to smoke your socks because this makes no sense. Why am I age restricted? You numbnut. Anyway, I didn't know that they were doing a remastered version of Until Dawn. And I would be super excited about this if I didn't just play it for the first time and beat it last year. And I will say, it was a fun experience. It was really a fun experience. And it made me realize that there are so many games like this that are like horror-like games that you kind of have to go through. It's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure type game that I should really start playing because I enjoy story-driven games. That's really my bread and butter. It's story-driven games. Again, this is a realization that I had in the last couple of years. I love story-driven games like this, and I love beat-em-ups. So anyone who does a beat-em-up, I'm going to be all over it. You know, your Streets of Rage 4, your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I am all over those type of games. You know, so anytime any of those type of games will come out, you'll know that I'll probably be playing it sometime soon. But I mean, I'll be honest, it looks the same to me. It doesn't look any different from the original version. But look, I'm sure it's going to look fantastic, and a lot of people are going to be playing it for the first time. And I'm excited for all of you guys. Now, Skydance's Behemoth. Skydance is a movie studio that also does video games, very much like Annapurna. This fucking thing, I'm telling you. And I understand. I wish to proceed. Thank you. So they're putting out this game, Behemoth, which looks very interesting. It's interesting because it's also VR. This looks like one of those... It finally looks like we're getting a VR game worth playing, to be honest with you. I don't know this game, but I heard that was good. I heard people had a lot of fun with that Walking Dead game. But I am not really a VR person, you know, and I feel like Sony hasn't done justice to their VR counterpart. And just like a lot of things that Sony does outside of their consoles, they don't know what to do with it and they don't know how to market it. This will be the best way to do it now. Highlight this game because this game looks very interesting and looks like could be very immersive in a VR-like experience. So if you're into VR, that could be something that you'll be into. Max, giving us PC users as much love with God of War as Sony. We're people too. Hey, I know you are. I know the master race out there. You guys are awesome. You should get as much love as possible. I don't know why it's taking Sony so long to acknowledge that. And they're so behind the ball in it. But I'm happy that you guys are finally getting some PlayStation games that you could finally play on PC. And you should be getting more of it, in my opinion. So, hey, I play on PC too. Just not a lot, but I do. So... yes, I acknowledge you. I acknowledge all of you. Yeah! What about the photorealistic game Unrecorded? Or that Matrix game with realistic, creepy NPCs? What are you talking about? Okay, so if you're talking about the Matrix demo that they created with Unreal, that looked phenomenal. I really enjoyed that. What is Unrecorded? Let me know what that is, because I don't think I'm familiar with that. Next, we get Path of Exile 2, which is an RPG, free-to-play action RPG that's getting an early... here we go again. An early access this year. Let me fast forward to some of this stuff here. This looked okay. This was like a top-down, very Diablo-like kind of game. And, you know, I have just recently started playing Diablo 4 for the first time because it's on Game Pass now. And it's the only chance I ever had to try to play it. And for what it is, I like it. It looks damn cool, this game. So if you're into this type of game, then yeah, I could see people getting hyped up and excited for this. But at the same time, it's a game that I see myself maybe playing in 3-4 years later. You know, it's not something that I would hop on immediately. But I'm sure there are some people that are going to enjoy it. What I did like, and I kind of like exited out of it before it said it, it is bringing back couch co-op, which we don't get enough of these days. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun for those who like to play at home with their friends. Now, this is a game that looks extremely interesting to me. Monster Hunter's Wild. And I know Monster Hunter is a huge franchise, especially in Japan. And I played Monster Hunter, I forgot, what's it called? The last one that came out a couple years ago or whatever. I played that with my friends and I actually enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. But at the same time, after a while, it got kind of repetitive. So I kind of lost interest right away. But this newer version of Monster Hunter with the graphics and everything, the monsters look fantastic, you know, and this is one of Capcom's major IPs. So it doesn't surprise me that we're getting another one of these, as long as it's like worthy of a new version. And with the updated graphics and updated looks to a lot of the characters, the models, and, you know, the monsters themselves, this definitely looks like a game I will mess with, you know, especially if I have a chance to play it with my friends. I mean, look at some of this. Look at this gameplay right here. I mean, this looks fantastic. It looks so good. The monsters look amazing. So I could definitely see myself messing around with this game for sure. You know, but only, and I will say this is a major caveat. I will only say this. I will only play this if I have friends I can play with. Because I don't see these games as fun to play solo. And that's just my opinion. Maybe they are. But I just don't personally find them fun to play by myself. So, but yeah, it looks like a fun game. Look at this. Look at that. Freaking crazy tongue action. Yeah, give me some tongue action.
I'm gonna come.
So yeah, so that's Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter Wilds. Star-Lord. It's called Replica, I think, where you can talk to AI NPCs in real time. Ooh, that's weird. Unrecorded is a single dev made game that was a shooter with, through body cam. People thought it was fake because it was too realistic for a single dev, but I don't think it's for PlayStation. Huh. Interesting. I have never heard of that. I'm going to look it up right now. Unrecorded is an upcoming first-person shooter game developed by Drama, utilizing Unreal Engine 5. Tactical and narrative single-player first-person shooter, described as a combination of the adventure game Firewatch and tactical shooter Ready or Not. Ooh, that sounds like something that would definitely be up my alley. Do we have any images, any gameplay footage? What is all this? Well, that looks interesting. That looks very interesting. Huh. All right, I'm gonna have to put a pin in this because that looks very interesting to me. It really, really does. Does it have a demo out right now? I wouldn't mind messing around with that demo. All right, Silent Hill 2. Now, I know there are a lot of major fans of Silent Hill out there. I am not one of them. I love Resident Evil. I just never got into Silent Hill. I actually played Silent Hill, the first original one, on PlayStation for the first time 4 years ago. I think I got the bad ending because I honestly did not know what I was doing. And the little girl died at the end. Spoilers. And I was told that was the bad ending. So whatever. But a lot of people said Silent Hill 2 is one of the better ones. I never played it. And I was kind of waiting for this to come out in order to decide if I wanted to play it or not. Now, there was a lot of hype. Here we go. There was a lot of hype going into this game, going into this release. I have to tell you, is it just me or did the character models look very wonky? It just doesn't look good, to be honest. You know, these models almost look like 2 generations ago. And I know they use mocap. And I played that Silent Hill short game that they released earlier this year. And I really liked it. I actually had a lot of fun with that. And I thought graphically it looked decent. But I don't know, for some reason there's something that's throwing me off with the look of this game. The environments look cool. But the character models just look very weird to me. I don't know. Starlord said I never played it, but I've seen a lot of demos. Okay. I'm gonna later on I'll pull up some videos and then I'll check it out because it does look interesting and the premise sounds very interesting to me. But yeah, so I don't know what people are thinking or what they feel about this overall, but there's just something weird about it. So I would say at one point I was kind of looking forward to it, but now I'm just kind of like, maybe. Then there's Alien Rogue Incursion, another VR title. They didn't show much. The video was kind of like very short, but the idea of doing an Aliens game in VR sounds fun to me. Like, that's something that I would want to mess with because I love the Alien franchise. And if you're going to make it very like sci-fi horror like, then that could be a lot of fun. I could definitely see that being enjoyable, you know. So again, for those people who are fans of VR or want to have something to finally do with their VR sets for PlayStation, you're going to get some stuff finally. Is it a little too late? I don't know. In my opinion, it is, but we'll see. This game looks like an abomination. What is the deal with Marvel Rivals? This game looks awful. First of all, it's a Marvel property with Marvel characters in yet another service-like game. Again, I hate the comparisons, but it looks like another Overwatch. It looks like another Valorant. It looks like insert multiple names of games very similar in this genre here. And the art style, I don't like. The Eastern art style, making it very Asian looking, Asian inspired. Now, if this was like a series of comic books or manga, I'll be like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is neat. You know, if this is something you could like hang on the wall. But look at Hela. She looks like that character from Valorant. Everything looks the same. Now maybe it'll excite more people because it's like, oh yes, it's Valorant, but I could play it with Marvel characters. All right, you know what? Good for you. For me, you could go fuck off. This just looks like another waste of time. You know? Yes, granted, if I had a group of friends that would want to play this, I'll give it a chance. I'll be like, all right, let's play it. Fuck it. But if that's not the case, I will never touch a game like this. You know? And I don't know. It again, it's another example of too many people trying to ride on that same trend of, you know, these service-like games. And it's just enough already. We had too many. It's too much. They made a Batman game set in the actual Gotham City from Batman Returns, an actual movie replica. They did? Which game is that? And who made it? I feel like I'm getting a lot of education today, which is actually pretty cool. Almost looks like a mobile game. Money, please. Yeah, you're right, actually. That it does kind of look like a freaking mobile game. And don't they already have like a Marvel mobile game that's somewhat like this? I mean, look at this. This just looks... Oh, why? Why are they doing this? Yes, money. Give us them ducats, right? Yeah, no thanks. Pass. Now, Dynasty Warriors. We haven't gotten a Dynasty Warriors game in a very long time. And I'm a major fan of that franchise. There's nothing more, I guess, satisfying than just running around a huge herd of people coming at you and just slicing and dicing your way through them. I loved it when they incorporated the Gundam license to it. So now you could do that, but now with Gundam. And I was like, you know what? There's something just like very fun about this. And we haven't gotten one in a very long time. I believe they did the same thing with The Legend of Zelda, Hyrule Warriors. I think that was like a Dynasty Warriors-like game. So it's nice that we're now getting an updated generation version of Dynasty Warriors. And look at this. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but there's nothing more satisfying than just like wiping tons of people out like in one swoop. Like this is just a lot of fun. Mindless fun, mindless action. These games are also very story heavy. So I would be more than happy to play a game like this, especially now with updated, you know, graphics. It looks great. Does it look like a current gen PS5 Series X game? No. It looks like a PS4 Pro, you know? But still, fun regardless. But that's coming out in 2025, so we still have yet some time to wait for that. The Ballad of Antara. This game looked, again, it's another free-to-play fantasy action RPG coming out next year. And it looks cool. You know, it looks beautiful. You have a lot of big creatures here, right? You have a lot of interesting ideas. You know, you have the main guy here with like some little girl strapped behind his back. You know, and it looks interesting. You know, it piqued my interest. You know, but I don't know if I would call this a game that I would be eagerly anticipating. The environments, the scenery, the universe itself looks very fascinating, you know. But I don't know if this is something that I would be like, oh my God, I have to play. I'm so excited for this. They showed some game footage, I believe, like this, but it was mostly CG cutscenes. And I was just like, all right, enough of that stuff. Infinity Nikki, if you are someone into the ooh-woo culture, ooh-woo, this is going to be up your alley. If your thing is cutesy women or princesses or maidens or however you want to call them, this is a game for you. Is it a game for me? Absolutely not. You know, but if you're into like the kawaii culture and all that stuff, enjoy. By all means, have a fun time with it. But there you go. There's a game for everyone. And this is a game for people not me. Where Winds Meet looks great. This looks very, very interesting to me. It's very, I would say, Ghost of Tsushima-like. You know, but I'm noticing there's a major trend happening right now where a lot of games that we're getting or we're getting teased with is either, once again, service-like game or games that are very Asian influenced, like Samurai Time, Ninja Times. We're getting a lot of those games recently. You know, maybe too much, in my opinion. And a lot of them are starting to look very similar. But here you go. Here's some gameplay. I mean, it looks fun. It looks like it'll be interesting. And I love the characters and the designs. But I feel like this is something we've already seen before. You know, I feel like this is like a Souls-like ninja samurai game that we're getting again. You know, but then we already have that with Sengoku. Is it Sengoku? I forgot which one it was that came out from Software. Ghost of Tsushima. You know, Rise of the Ronin that just came out recently. Like, I feel like we're getting too many of these games. You know, with similar type of styles and concepts. So this is, again, another example of a game that I would play, but I wouldn't be rushing out to play it. I would play this like maybe in 4 or 5 years. You know? It's called I Am Batman, a faithful adaptation of Tim Burton's Batman 89. PS5 Intel has a full demo. Is this for VR? I Am Batman game. Oh, interesting. It looks very interesting. All right, I'm going to have to, again, and something else to add to my list of things to check out. Starlord, you are introducing me to a lot of stuff, and I love it. So, Unrecorded and I Am Batman. All right, there you go. Was that it? That's it. That was everything that, see? Notice my surprise. That was everything that was introduced and talked about and I guess unveiled at Sony State of Play this past week. So it begs the question, is there anything that you're actually excited for? that was, covered in that presentation? Honestly, anything? I think for me, Astrobot for this year is the only thing that I would want to mess with, but I'm not going to be jumping at the bit to go out there and play it. So in my honest opinion, I think this year for PlayStation 5 is going to be a big dud. Now, maybe we already got the PlayStation 5 game of the year, which was, for many people, the Final Fantasy Rebirth, right? Maybe. But I also heard a lot of people who played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth said it was good to start off with, but then after a while, it got very long in the tooth. And I don't know if it's like that for everybody, but I did hear a lot of people say that. So I wish they did that with the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Create like a VR world where you could kind of just like run around in and be like you're in the movie. If movie studios were smart, they would do that with a lot of their movie properties. You want to utilize VR? And I thought this was something they were trying to do back in the day. But wouldn't it be nice if they created worlds in VR just like in the movie, so it makes you feel like you're actually in the damn movie? Like, where's Dune? They should do that like a Dune VR. Alicia, what's going on? Nice of you to say hello. Thank you for saying hi. Max, did they say anything about what they are going to do so differently with the Dynasty Warriors? Is it going to be open world again? It looks to me, it looks like exactly what you would expect with Dynasty Warriors, just with like current gen graphics. That's what it kind of looks like. They didn't really unveil too much, but I would assume that is what is to be expected for that. So if you're into that, then that'll be awesome for you. A movie that didn't look like the game turned into a game that looks like the movie. Okay, you just made me have an aneurysm. Wow. I think my head is having its own glitch in the Matrix. But yeah, outside of like Astro Boy, Dynasty Warriors, I think it's not even coming out this year, right? I think Dynasty Warriors is coming out next year. Let me see. Dynasty Warriors. Yeah, next year, 2025. So that's coming out next year. Let's see what else. You have that where the winds meet is TBD. No actual release date yet. Ballad of Antara is 2025. What else? Monster Hunter is 2025. So a lot of the games that I would actually be looking forward to trying isn't even coming out this year. Astrobot is coming out this year. That's it. I think that sucks. I think that's really bad, honestly. What if you owned a PlayStation 5, you're probably like kicking yourself right now. It's like, why did I rush out to buy this $500 piece of hardware that I'm not even having a chance to play current gen games on? It's insane to me. I'm having another Knight Rider idea moment. Chris Pratt must still voice Mario. Okay, here we go. Star-Lord is on his rant of an idea he came up with. Everyone get ready. Once the wheels start turning, the smoke is coming out of the ears. Oh man, watch out. You don't know what to expect. Now, alongside of their state of play, there was additional stuff from Sony that talks about their PC approach. So, Max, this is for you. So I'm here. Sony Interactive Entertainment has made it clear, don't expect its single-player tentpole games titles to hit PC day and date. Herman Hulst and Hideki Nishino, who will be the new joint CEOs, which is I also found very interesting. They just recently appointed joint CEOs of Sony Interactive Entertainment. And not once did they actually cover that during their state of play. Don't you find that kind of weird? That there's this big shift in management, and not once did they introduce these two to the gaming audience? And they start on June 1st. So yesterday was their first day on the job officially. You know, and they had a business briefing on Thursday. But if you're going to come out the gate, especially with all the controversy around PC gaming and support from other platforms pushing things to PC, right? Isn't that kind of weird to say that off the bat? Max, is not just Sony. Rockstar is hinting that the new GTA won't be immediate. That's true, but that's always been their case with Rockstar. And I know why. Rockstar wants you to buy the game again. That's their business model. They're like Apple. They're like all these guys that want you to constantly buy their product. They want you to first buy, because they know there's a fever for the game. So the first chance you'll have to play the game is on a console, right? And they want you to buy the game on the console. But if you want to buy it on PC, they're going to force you to wait like a year or two, because they know they're going to get your money again. This has been confirmed to me from some people I may know. That has always been their thought process. And maybe that's Sony's thought process as well, right? They're hoping that people will still want to play their games on their consoles. And if you don't own a console, hey, you want to play it? Why don't you buy the console? Because if you want to buy it, if you want to wait it for PC, you're going to have to wait a little bit. It's freaking insanity. And that's why this whole gaming generation is just so confusing to me. On the business side of things, I understand what each company is trying to do, but you're pissing off the gaming community and you're making the community no longer interested. Yeah. So to continue with the article, the pair discussed their strategy regarding PC releases of PS5 titles. Hulst says on the live service side, the plan is to release titles simultaneously, meaning day and date on PS5 and PC. So if you're going to buy a game like Marvel Rivals or Concord, yeah, you could play it on PC day one. Because they're probably hoping that they can get your dollars for in-game purchases. And it will help, with cross-play and all that stuff, build the community, yada, 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 right? Console players, however, will continue to receive early access to Sony's narrative-driven titles, delaying the PC release of games like Marvel Spider-Man 2 and God of War Ragnarok by around 2 years as they do now. The reason for this is to attract users who have played the earlier games in those series to make the jump to PS5 in order to experience them sooner. The same strategy is behind their TV series and films like The Last of Us. It's about getting new players into the franchises. The comments come as the company also revealed its last-gen PlayStation 4 console is still an important part of the business. Why? Why are there still so much? Why is there still so much focus on PlayStation 4 right now? You know why? Because even though PlayStation 5 have sold well, a lot of people who have PS4s have not made that jump yet. They refuse because it's not worth it. What is there to jump to? Honestly, graphics aside, why do you play games? Here's my question for you guys watching right now. You know, for things that look great and all that, why do you play games to begin with? If you play games for the entertainment, you know, for the story, if you're already getting that on PlayStation 4, why bother jumping on PS5 knowing you could still play those games on PS4? Because they're still supporting it. Doesn't make sense to me. What's going on, Bailey? Thank you for the nice words. Hope you're having a brilliant day yourself. Nice to see you again. The article concludes saying that 4 years into its successor's lifespan, and even with PS5 proving its most profitable generation to date, PS4 still makes up exactly half of its monthly active console users, and that's around 49 million users. Wow. If I was Sony, I would just like cut it. I'm like, you know what? Sorry, no more PS4. No more support. It's time to move on to PS5. And that's what they did in previous years, isn't it? When the PS4 first came out, maybe they supported the PlayStation 3 for another half year or a year, and then that's it. Every new game was now coming out on PS4. I don't understand it. I don't know what's going on right now. Doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a whole ton of sense to me, honestly. It's so bizarre. It's so weird. No way I will ever play a game for the story, according to Starlord. I watch a movie for the story. Okay. Well, that's your choice. I love story-driven games because I love the immersion, the interactive part of it. Like I'm part of that story. I love that. You know, that's the fun I get out of it. You know, that's why games like Until Dawn is fun for me. You know, and I know a lot of people aren't like big into like, let's say like the Uncharted way of gaming where, you know, the things are happening. And you see this in the Spider-Man games too, where all of a sudden it's like button prompts. You're going through a series of things and then you have to hit a button prompt in order to succeed in the cinematic portions. I love that. I find those things to be fun and exciting. That's why I love those Telltale games. Like the Telltale games are a lot of fun to me. You know, you're Back to the Future. They had a series of Batman. There was Guardians of the Galaxy one that was a lot of fun. The huge amount of Walking Dead versions that they put out. You know, I love those type of games. I love it. Maybe that's just me. You know. But Until Dawn is a great example. I can currently play it on PS4. And honestly, the remastered version looks exactly the same to me. So why bother jumping onto PS5 when I already have that on PS4? I just don't get it. So over 70 missions in GTA 5, yet nothing different to do in the world. Well, I mean, look, there are tons of people who love the GTA series. And for them, they get exactly what they want. You know. For me, someone who's never played a Grand Theft Auto game since what? San Andreas. And then when I tried 5 for the first time late last year, it kind of felt nice to be back in that. You know, kind of felt nice to be in that. I love being able to hop from one character to another. I thought that was pretty dope. I only played it for like a very brief moment, but I enjoyed from what I experienced, I enjoyed it. So I kind of understand why people like that stuff. I mean, I don't know how it's going to be like for the rest of the game, but you know, QTEs are different. I always use Red Dead RDR2 as an example of how games can tell a story that a movie can't. Yeah, that's a great point. Earlier, I believe it was D on the vertical chat was saying that they're currently going through Red Dead Redemption 2 and how they're enjoying it. I said that I finally beat Red Dead Redemption 1 for the first time last year, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, and I enjoyed it because of the story I was being a part of. You know, I thought they did that. I thought the narration, the whole narrative, the whole thing, I thought was very well done, very satisfying to me at the end of it. At the end of it all, you know, I can't wait for me to finally sit down and play the second one, but I need time. So that's probably not something I'm going to be able to do for like another year or two. Starlord, I'll never trust story, especially if it's completely hypocritical and contradictory. GTA 5 is just that. Okay. Well, then I guess GTA 5 just wasn't for you. You know, unfortunately. You know, hey, look, games are very much like movies. They're all subjective. People like certain games. People don't like certain games. You know, that's just how it is. You haven't seen the breakdown I've seen. Well, that could be true too, you know. But, you know, like I said, from what I've experienced, it was entertaining to me. Now, if I played more of it, would I slowly start feeling the way you feel? Maybe. I don't know. I can't say because I haven't done it. You know. And I'm the kind of guy that I won't criticize something unless I actually go through it myself. That's why I will never poo-poo on a movie until I see it. I will comment on how good or bad it may look, but I'm not going to criticize until I actually see it. When it comes to a game, if it looks interesting, I'll play it. If it doesn't look interesting, I won't play it. If it looks like something I've seen already before, you lose me immediately, right? That's just how I am. You know. But when it comes to games, again, with Sony's lack of stuff coming out this year, I asked myself, what games are coming out this year? You know, like is there anything really worth being excited for this year, right? And what's Nintendo working on? You know, I feel like Nintendo is very, very limited with what they put out. And I know they're working on Switch 2. So I'm sure they have a lot of resources on that right now. But if I was a gamer looking forward to games to play this year, what do I have to look forward to? So I'm going to run down some of the games that are coming out this year and see who's going to be excited for what, right? So in June, for those who are still playing Destiny, there is a new DLC coming out, Destiny 2: The Final Shape. You know, I don't play Destiny anymore, so I don't know. And I don't know if any of my friends who still play it are excited for this, but at least they have that to look forward to in June, right? Killer Clowns from Outer Space is another game that is coming out in June. I heard that it is available in early access now, and from what I hear, it's not that great. Let's see. You have Monster Hunter Stories coming out on, oddly enough, PC, PS4, and Switch. That just sounds really weird to me. But if you're big into the Monster Hunter series, then there you go. You have that coming out. The Elden Ring DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree. I know a lot of people are waiting for that because there's a lot of people who love Elden Ring. So at least that you have that coming out, right? What's going on, Lil Sa? Nice to see you back here. Really happy to see you. Hope you're doing well. On Switch, you got Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. So, and you have Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. So it's like a remaster of Luigi's Mansion, which is a great game. But if the way I look at it is, if you've played it already, unless you're wanting to replay it again, I don't know if that's something that you would be like eagerly anticipating. You know. Sorry, what Michael said to Devin Weston at the end was completely wrong. I wouldn't know what that is because I've never played. If you're talking about GTA 5, I have no idea what you're referring to. All right, so now moving on to July. Final Fantasy XIV is getting another DLC from what it looks like. Ace Combat 7 is finally coming out on the Switch. And then you have the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate coming out on the Switch. And honestly, that's it. So July is a big Easter egg. In August, Star Wars Outlaws comes out. That's that's Ubisoft, I think. It's like a third person action adventure game, which looks kind of interesting, but I'm very hesitant on it. You know, especially, you know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and you guys should know that by now. But even something like this, I'm very like, ugh, I don't know. Black Myth Wukong, that is a very long anticipated game that I know a lot of people have been waiting for. And that's finally coming out in August on all platforms. So that is something that I'm curious about myself, because I've been seeing trailers for that for years now. And I'm very much curious as to how that game's finally going to play. Then you have something called Dustborn and SteamWorld Heist 2. Now in September, Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl is coming out on PC and Xbox Series X. That Stalker franchise has been around for a minute, hasn't it? I guess there's a big fan base for that. Astro Boy, they're coming out with a game on the PS5. Didn't know that. Fans of the Warhammer series, Warhammer 40,000, Space Marine 2 is coming out on all platforms. And then God of War Ragnarok is finally coming out on the PC for you PC gamers out there. And then you have Funko's very first video game, Funko Fusion. Which sounds like a disaster to me. I don't know. Yeah, even though, yeah, I have Funko Pops and all that, I've quit that addiction a long time ago. It was an addiction at one point where I had to buy a lot of these new Funko Pops, and I just had to stop. So, yeah. For all you Funko fans out there, that may be something you want to look into. Star-Lord, Rockstar only sees its fans as Michael's kid Jimmy. That was a representation of us. Wake up. They are laughing all the way to the bank. I mean, Rockstar... Look, I have a lot of opinions about Rockstar that I'll keep to myself for now. I'll save that for another future stream and conversation. In October, we're getting Silent Hill 2 Remake. I spoke about that before. PC and PS5. No talk about Xbox just yet. And then Terminator Survivors is coming out on PC for early access. Now, if it's anything like the last Terminator game that we got from Treyon, the same developers that did the RoboCop game, I'll be interested. If it's not, I have no idea what it's going to be about, so we'll see. November, there seems to be nothing. Now, there's a list of games that are supposed to come out this year, but currently have no release dates. That means you could possibly expect these games to get pushed back, right? One of them is the Alien Rogue Incursion that I talked about that's coming out on VR. Arc 2 is supposed to finally come out on Xbox Series X and PC. Black Myth Wukong, which I just talked about before, supposed to be coming out on PC, so hopefully it'll come out around the same time as the platforms, as the console versions. You got Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed. That is the remaster of the Epic Mickey game that's supposed to be coming out on all platforms. I have not heard a single word about this game for a long time. So you have that. Let's see what else you have here. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Remember, we got that nice little trailer about it from Bethesda. They're saying that's supposed to come out this year. I don't think we're going to see that this year. I have a feeling that's going to be a next year title. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. What the hell is that? You have another Kingdom Come game, Deliverance 2. That's supposed to come out on Xbox, PS5, and PC. Another Kingdom Hearts game, but it's a mobile game, Android and iOS. Let's see. Metal Gear Solid remake of Snake Eater. I know a lot of people are waiting for that. I have a funny story about Snake Eater. So I'm a big Metal Gear fan. I love all the Metal Gear Solid games. And when Snake Eater came out, I was very much excited for it. And I briefly started playing it this was during the time I was working on a Blockbuster Video. So I just started playing it, and then I had a guy come in who rented it, returned it, and was renting another game. So I had a conversation with him. I was like, "Hey, what did you think of the game?" He's like, "Oh, it was okay. It was pretty good." You know, it kind of sucks that it's not Solid Snake and it's really this other guy. And I was just like, "What? Dude, you just spoiled the damn game for me." I was like, "You motherfucker." And I was just like, well, there goes that game. I'm not going to be playing it now. So since then, I think at most I've invested 2 hours in that game. Never went back to it after that incident. So now that it's coming out with a remaster, depending on how well the remaster turns out, I may finally go back to it. And I'll try to play through it. But I was so pissed that this random dude just spoiled the game for me. I'm just like, bro, come on, man. Can't do that. Let's see what other games are coming out this year that may be worth mentioning. Shadow of the Ninja Reborn. That is a remake of the classic old school retro game that I'm looking forward to, but no release date as of yet. Let's see. Sonic X Shadow Generations. Another Sonic game supposed to be coming out this year. We'll see. Star Wars Hunters, mobile and Switch title that's coming out. I've been seeing a lot of trailers for that, so I think that is indeed coming out this year. We're supposed to be getting a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem game. We'll see if we get that this year or not. Let's see. A lot of like remakes, a lot of retro games remastered, games coming out like Toxic Crusaders and The Wolf Among Us. A lot of games like that were set to come out this year. Visions of Mana, supposed to come out this year. Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2. Another World of Warcraft game, The War Within, coming out on PC and Mac this year. And that's really it. Honestly, I hate to say it, but I'm not excited about really anything. Is it just me? Am I too old for this shit already? Am I getting too old for games? Is it just me? I don't know. I feel horrible. What is the deal? Star-Lord Metal Gear Solid is the GOAT. I totally agree. Love Metal Gear Solid. I'm surprised the new Twisted Metal game was never made after. You and me both. You and me both. Like, that would have been an opportune moment to come out with a new Twisted Metal game. Actually, they were making one. They were supposed to come out with one, and it was a loot shooter version of it. You believe that? Another service-like game, but Twisted Metal. And they canned it because they didn't want to dump any more money into it. Because they knew that it's that whole, again, the reoccurring thing I keep saying over and over again. This whole genre is overflooded. And no one really gives a crap anymore. So they ruined that chance because it would have been a perfect time for the show to come out and to have a brand new Twisted Metal game coming out. Perfect marketing, and you'll definitely have a lot of people who are getting into Twisted Metal and then want to play a new Twisted Metal game. Bing, bang, boom. Bailey, I love you. Thank you so much for your kind words. Glad you're enjoying the channel. Glad you're enjoying the stream. You're amazing. Yeah! But yeah, I'm surprised too. I don't understand. Sony just doesn't know what they're doing right now. And it shows. The fact that they had a change in management says a lot. The fact that they feel like they need two people to head up their Sony Interactive Entertainment division instead of one. What does that say? I don't know. It's so strange. The fact that they didn't even introduce us to them is just bizarre to me. Maybe, look, we are now in summer. The summer of gaming is coming out. You know, we're going to get a lot of online stuff now that E3 is dead. So maybe that's going to be the time we're going to get a lot of more stuff from these companies. You know, I would expect to see a lot more stuff being announced by Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. I'm pretty sure we're finally going to get solid details on Switch 2, which I still think they should call the Super Switch. In my opinion, I think that would be a brilliant name for it. Yeah. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. What did Twisted Metal lose to at the awards for Best Video Game Adaptation into a Show? Did they lose to... Was it Fallout? Hold on. Let me see. The Game Awards. Oh, no, they lost to The Last of Us, I think. Let's see. Which is also a stupid category, if I'm going to be very honest here. I mean, Video Game Adaptation Award, really? It's so dumb. That whole awards show is so dumb. It makes me mad. So here, let's see. Remake game. How come this is not saying it? Hidden Gem. DLC Journalism. What? Am I missing something here? This is not a list of full winners, you wackos. What's going on, Audrey Dancer? Nice to see you. Hope you're having a wonderful day and or evening. Here, let's see if this article has the list here. God, seeing the seeing the screenshots for this show is just bringing back. It's like PTSD. I can't believe how bad this show was. Oh, here we go. Best adaptation. Yeah, Last of Us. They won that at the Game Awards. How many awards did Last of Us win? You're talking about the show, right? Let's see. Emmys. Actually, what am I doing? Last of Us HBO. Here, this will help. Let's see. Awards and nominations. Here we go. The Last of Us live-action video game adaptation received major award consideration. It was nominated for 24 Primetime Emmy Awards, with a leading 8 wins at the Creative Arts Emmy Awards, including wins for Nick Offerman and Peyton Reed. Peyton Reed or Storm Reed? Sorry, Storm Reed. Sorry. From major guilds, it won 2 awards at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, including Best Actor for Pedro Pascal, and 1 at the Directors Guild of America Awards and Writers Guild of America Awards, and received 2 nominations at the Producers Guild of America Awards. It was nominated for 3 Critics' Choice Television Awards, 3 Golden Globe Awards, and 5 TCA Awards, and led the Astra Creative Arts TV Awards with 6 nominations. In genre awards, the series was nominated for 5 Saturn Awards. It led the MTV Movie and TV Awards with 3 wins, including Best Show, and was nominated for 6 awards at the People's Choice Awards, including Show of the Year. The series earned the biannual Seal of Authentic Representation from the Ruderman Family Foundation of Woodard's role as Sam. Bam. There you go. The Last of Us. For anyone who says that The Last of Us was not well received, what does that tell you? There you go. And if you haven't seen it, I would say do yourself a favor and check it out. Because I personally thought it was a well done show. I can't wait for season 2. I need to finally play The Last of Us 2 because I haven't yet before the show starts. Or maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. What do you think? Should I play the game now? Get a head start? Or should I watch the show first, then play the game? I'm curious. I'm curious what people will think about that. But yeah, there you go. The Last of Us. So yeah. So, you know, again, to recap, honestly, there isn't much I'm excited for in video games this year. Maybe the year already blew its load. You know, with all the releases that we've seen already earlier this year, the rest of the year just sounds very dull and boring to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. AKB, did you play then watch season 1? By the way, AKB Momo in the house.
Wow.
What's going on, Cynthia Salgado? Nice seeing you here. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for checking out the stream and saying hello. Well, AKB, I played The Last of Us game years ago. And I played it all the way through. It was one of the first games in like the last 5 years that maybe more so, that I completed. And I actually really loved the game. That's why I was very much excited for the show to come out. And then right before the show came out, I started to replay it again. So that was my approach to the season 1. Last of Us 2, I've never played a single minute of. So I don't know if I should play it first, because I heard that they already are changing some of the things that happened from the game to the series. And you have to understand, not everything can translate 100% when you're changing media. So when you're telling a narrative, there are certain things that need to change in order for it to make sense to a more generic audience, right? First season of Last of Us, they kind of changed how the virus was spread in a way, but they made more sense in real life terms, right? And they expanded on certain storylines that they didn't do so in the game, which I actually really appreciated. The episodes with Nick Offerman and his character were by far the best episodes of the entire season. I mean, when the fate happened with his character, I cried my eyes off. I have it on the channel. You could actually see my reaction to that episode, and you could see I had to stop. I actually paused myself because I couldn't stop. It's crazy. Starlight says, watch the game and play the show. You blew it! Thank you for that. Thank you for that. AKB, maybe reverse order for season 2. Watch, then play. Yeah, that could be an interesting approach. Want to know what game I would like to play? Of course I would love to know that, Star-Lord. It's Arnold's game. It's called Total Recall. Well, they have a Total Recall game for the original Nintendo. If you want to put yourself through torture, you could play that. Oh man, I don't have it here anymore. I used to have the Nintendo theme song for Total Recall, the game. Or Starlord, since you're good at Unreal Engine, why don't you make a Total Recall game? That would be interesting. AKB, oh, that game was terrible. Yeah, that Total Recall game on the Nintendo was, oh, I remember I rented it, and I tried to play it, and I turned it off, and I went back the same day. I said, this game sucks. And I said, can I just exchange it for something else? And I was actually good friends with the game rental store, the movie rental store that was renting the games. It was literally like right around the block from where I lived at the time. And they said, yeah, of course. And that game was awful. Awful. Just didn't make any sense whatsoever. Storage says, I'll make one in 2 weeks. All right. You heard it here first, folks. Star-Lord is going to make a Total Recall game in Unreal Engine in 2 weeks. Mark your calendars. Let's wait and see what he comes up with. I'm excited. I can't wait. Starlord, I know at one point you were playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag, right? Are you still playing that game now, or what are you playing now? And for anyone else here watching, what games are you currently playing now? Starlord, but I don't want to get my ass to Mars. AKB link in 2 weeks, or get the or GTFO. See, you have people in anticipation. We want to see this happen. Star's not playing anything right now. Okay. Well, I know you've also been busy with work, so I totally get that. AKB, too late to get in the chopper. Oh man, too funny. AKB, since you're here, I don't know if you saw my recap of the Sony State of Play. I'm curious, was there anything from that presentation that you were like, ooh, I can't wait for that? You know, I'm curious. And then while I wait for AKB's response to that, I'm curious. Let's look into some gaming news right now. I mean, there are some like little things that I kind of pulled out here and there, but you know, nothing too nuts or crazy. So, well, I want to say like a couple of weeks ago now. Yeah, it's funny because like there's a lot of news about Rockstar announcing that. Well, one, they closed. I think they were going to close down several studios or whatever the case is, right? But no PC day one launch of Grand Theft Auto 6. And they announced that it looks like the release window for Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be the fall of this year, right? I'm curious, how many of you think that they're actually going to make that target window? I personally think Grand Theft Auto 6 may be pushed into next year. AKB Year 10 of Destiny Story starts on Tuesday. I know you're not... Well, it's funny because as I was reading that, as one of the games coming out, I said, I was curious if my friends who are still playing Destiny are going to be looking forward to that. So you just answered my question, so that's awesome. Monster Hunter Wild and then Astrobot. Yeah. See, I'm with you. Like, Monster Hunter, the new one, looks great. And, you know, if I have a crew to roll with, I would definitely try that game out. Astrobot, it's nice that we're finally getting a game like that in that style on a console that's not Nintendo, because I feel like we don't get those games enough. And Astrobot has been a character that a lot of people have loved for so long. And it feels like a Mario-like game, like an Odyssey kind of like Galaxies type game. And it just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It you know, it harkens back to the days of like Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Dexter, you know, those type of games. And we don't see those type of games anymore, especially like newer ones, like for a newer generation. And I think it looks fun. Like, I'll definitely mess around with that too. So I think before you start talking about DLC, let's come up with the base game first. Starlord already announcing DLC for free air for his Total Recall game. You got what you want. Get the people the air. What I need to know though is for your Total Recall game is, am I going to be allowed as the player to date the 3-boob chick? Because that would be awesome. I need to be able to, I need a dating sim with the 3-boob chick. AKB, wow. First, I'll bet $1 that GTA 6 gets pushed back to 26. So you're not just saying 1 year. You're saying it's going to get pushed back 2 years. Second, no PC on launch may hurt them. Or maybe they said fall 25 with no PC. And then, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Hold on. Pump the brakes. I'm reading all of this wrong. Sorry. So, you're saying it's going to get pushed back 1 full year from fall of 2025, right? No PC on launch may hurt, or maybe. Then get massive PC master race feedback and then happen to push back to 26 so that everyone can be happy. Okay. I think you may be right on the ball there. I don't think it's going to come out in 2025. I think it's going to come out in 26 because something tells me that the next gen of consoles are going to be hovering around the 26 era. I think. Switch 2 will already finally be out at that time, so they can utilize a lot of their dev work to hopefully release it on Switch around the same time for everything else, right? For PC, I don't think they're going to cave into the master race. They're going to make them wait. Because what I said earlier when they talked about not releasing PC same date as console, I honestly feel that's always been their strategy. They want you to buy the game again. First, they want you to buy the game first on some sort of console. Right? You really want to play it? You're going to have to buy it and play it on the console first. Then, when they finally do the PC version, they're going to make you wait like a year or two, release it on PC with some extra shit that no one has. Say, hey guys, guess what? You want to play it on PC now? Well, here you go. You want an incentive? Well, now you could do this, this, and that. I bet you that's exactly what's going to happen. Because that's been their thing the whole time. They waited so long to release it on PC. But they made it worth your while to do so. But again, they also made you buy it again. That just seems to be Rockstar to me. How much money can we milk off of our audience? Like Apple. Apple does the same thing. You know? So. It's an interesting time, man. This whole current gen is just all over the place, in my opinion. It's so weird. You can't really, get a pulse of what's going on. With all the layoffs, all the studios closing down, the consolidations, the focus on PC releases or multi-platform releases now becoming a big thing. EA recently said that they may be re-looking into in-game ads again. You want a way to really make fans hate you even more so than they do now, EA? You gotta be fucking nuts. Here, I'll read the article right here. The Virgin Nasdaq reports that company CEO Andrew Wilson is working on their next generation of in-game ads. Speaking on the company's quarterly earning call, an analyst asked specifically about the market opportunity for more dynamic ad insertion across more traditional AAA games. Wilson had a response to that, indicating that they're already working on it. We have teams internally in the company right now looking at how do we do very thoughtful implementations inside our game experiences. He reportedly adds that it's still early in the front and bigger ad opportunities lay beyond the bounds of games themselves and how they think about advertising as a growth driver in those types of experiences. The company's earlier attempt to display in-game commercials with the UFC 4 back in 2020 received a backlash as full-screen in-game ads for Amazon's The Boys drew harsh criticism from players criticizing that the commercials were disrupting their game. Several years before that, EA was caught up in the loot boxes scandal over Star Wars Battlefront 2, with its pay-to-win elements that generated so much uproar it led to stronger scrutiny overall regarding microtransactions in games. Wow. There you go. Max, oh yeah, that's exactly what we need. Imagine Kill the Justice League with ads. Oh yeah, that would have totally made the game, saved the game. Could you imagine you're in the middle of jumping from one chapter to another in what is that? Suicide Squad, and then all of a sudden you get in your face, Prime drink. Does it drink? Paul Logan in your face with Prime drink. Starlet, I want a new fight night with Mike Tyson and Logan Paul on the cover. Yeah, good luck with that. With that match already canceled on Netflix, I mean, what a huge mess that is. EA putting games, in-game ads will specifically kill their sales. They may get away with on-game. Any more after that will tank sales, I'm calling it now. And put YouTubers in the game to fight. All right. if so, remember we used to get the silly games back in the day where it would be like Burger King was good. Yeah, Star Lord, that fight was canceled. The Tyson Logan fight, that was canceled. Big time. Oh, you guys don't know. All right. Let me pull up the article right here. Yeah. When I saw the headline, I was like, why am I not surprised about this? Why am I not surprised? Max said Mike had some kind of health issues on the flight. Let's see. All right. So this is an article according to CNN. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul match delayed due to Tyson's medical issue. So they made this announcement on Friday. I want to thank my fans around the world for their support and understanding during this time. Unfortunately, due to my ulcer flare-up, I have been advised by my doctor to lighten my training for a few weeks to rest and recover, Tyson said in a statement. First of all, that is not Mike Tyson talking. He had that written up for him because that is way too intelligent for Mike Tyson. If this was Mike Tyson's like, sorry, y'all, I can't fight. My ulcer's messed up. I'm not feeling so hot, so you better be patient. I'm going to fight again soon, I promise you. That sounds like something Tyson would say. Not this intelligent written up thing here. Tyson continues to say, my body is better overall shape than it has been since 1990s, and I will be back to my full training schedule soon. Jake Paul, hold on, an ad popped up. Thank you for that. Jake Paul, see, again, if this was an EA game, I'll be freaking pissed. Jake Paul, this may have brought you some time, but in the end, you will still be knocked out and out of boxing for good. I appreciate everyone's patience and can't wait to deliver an unforgettable performance later this year. All right. Again, that is not Tyson. That is his PR person writing that out. If this was Tyson saying, it's like, my body's in the best shape ever in the world. You see, Jake Paul, you sucker, I'm going to knock your ass out. You're going to be sorry. You're going to step in the ring with me, and you're going to be retired, son. I'm going to kick your ass, and you're going to go home crying to your mama. So, everyone, just stay tuned and wait. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be better than ever. Thank you. That is a Tyson state. Where is that? Jake Paul threatening to end the career of a 60-year-old is so on brand. Here is Jake Paul's statement. I fully support postponing this event so Mike Tyson has no excuses come fight night, Paul said in a statement. My fans know I don't want to face Iron Mike at anything but his best. But let there be no mistake. When he steps into the ring with me, I'll be ready to claim my W with a sensational finish. Paul versus Tyson will be one for the ages, and I promise to bring my best for this once-in-a-lifetime matchup. Now, here's a question I have for all of you guys. Do you actually think this fight will ever happen? Now that it's been postponed, delayed, at this point, is this just like an excuse to say, like, you know, we really didn't want to do this anyway? Why bother? Do you think this is actually going to happen? I don't know. I honestly don't think it will at this point. I think it's been postponed depending on the timeline for when Iron Mike will get better. We don't know what that looks like. AKB thinks so. The money is on the table. It's too tempting for all sides. Well, yeah. If money is a factor, then yeah, I could totally see that. I wonder, though. I wonder if there was any stipulation in the contract that if for whatever reason the fight couldn't happen, they still get a little bit of a pay cut. I wonder. Mike should write a W on his glove so, so Logan Paul can claim it. There you go. If I was Mike, I would so do that right now. It's like, you want to claim something, motherfucker? Claim this. But you have to write it in a way that is like very wet marker so that you see the big W on Paul's face. Claim it. That would be amazing. Amazing. AKB, now that's supposed to Musk versus Bestos match was never going to happen. Okay, so let me go back to what I was saying before. So remember back in the day, we would get a lot of these weird games coming out. You know, we had like Celebrity Deathmatch game came out. We had a lot of these like Burger King games that came out. I felt like back then it was, and actually, honestly, now it's very easy for someone to create a game, put it on the PlayStation Network or Nintendo Switch Online, or even the Xbox Marketplace, and anyone can go and buy it. I would love it if someone came up with some sort of fighting game that pits YouTube celebrities against each other. I think that would be like the funniest shit ever. Where you could have like Boogie, what's it? Boogie Night, whatever, something versus Wings of Redemption. You can have Pokimane against Amaranth. I mean, obviously there's going to be an issue with licensing the names, right? But what if you just put out something that was like similar and use fake names? Yeah, Boogie 2988. That's the full name. You know, have what's another crazy YouTuber? XQC versus the H3 podcast. The entire podcast group. That would have me dying. Yeah, it could be exactly like a straight out of a Looney Tunes cartoon. Big W. Not boxing, put them in street beefs, cage fighting. Or do it in the style of like Def Jam. Remember that Def Jam fighting game? Like do it in that style. Where it's like straight up street fighting. And then in the crowd around them, you could have like other YouTube celebrities. Put Jojo Siwa in there. Could you imagine like Jojo Siwa or what was that the lady who did a confession with the ukulele? That would be freaking hilarious. I would play a game like that. Just because I'm nuts like that. Hell, I'll play it on stream. There you go, Starlord. Why don't you make a game like that in Unreal Engine? Now that would be fantastic. That should be your next project after your Total Recall game. Oh, man. But we're just having fun here, y'all. We're just having fun here. Nothing too crazy. Just having fun. Sorry, guys. Just give me 1 minute. Just checking my notifications. Oh, AKB. You probably missed my mini announcement earlier. I finally beat Persona 3 Reloaded. last night. That's why I was late to stream today. Because I was up late trying to beat that damn fucking game. What I'm going to do at the end of this year is I'm planning to do like my year in gaming video that is going to round up all of the games I played this year, especially games on my specific backlog. I created like a 2024 backlog list of games that I'm pledging to try and finally play and beat this year. So I'll definitely have like a portion in that recap video that will talk about my experience with Persona 3 Reloaded. So, and why it might take another year or two for me to ever play another Persona game. Because that game just sucked up way too much of my life. Way too much. All right. What else is there left to talk about, really? Hey, we talked about a lot today, to be honest with you. I guess the one last major topic from this past week was the announcement about Call of Duty. And how it was announced that the new Call of Duty will be launching on Game Pass when it comes out. And how that's going to be a major shift on how that game is going to work with gamers. Right? Let me read the article here. Oh, the article looks like crap on mobile. I'm sorry. There, that should look better. Last week came the news that this year's Call of Duty game will be the first title in the series to be included in Xbox's Game Pass subscription service at launch. It means for players with access to Xbox platforms, the entry cost for the game could be as little as $11. However, a new report on Reset Era suggests the addition of the new Call of Duty to the Game Pass will come alongside Microsoft using the opportunity to refresh its service. The insider wouldn't specifically confirm a price increase or a tier restructure. Only that there will be changes, yes. Even so, this has quickly led to speculation of new fees or different tiers. The inclusion on the Xbox Game Pass service was a major point of contention in the court battles following the merger of Xbox and Activision Blizzard. The new Call of Duty title, which has yet to be officially announced, is expected to be revealed on June 9th as part of a special digital presentation following the Xbox Games Showcase. Activision is expected to release the game in late October. So, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I'll try to recap it just briefly as possible. This is going to be a big win for Game Pass for the immediate future. Long term, I'm not so sure. For current Game Pass owners who are not major Call of Duty players, this might end up sucking for them. For old school, long-time Call of Duty players, I would probably advise them not to play it on Game Pass. Here's why. I can now foresee Microsoft doing a tiered Game Pass like Sony's PlayStation Plus, which for me, I don't like. Because the whole idea of Game Pass is to be able to play Xbox games and other games on a monthly basis without having to commit and buying a full game. Right? And I understand there are like time limits and all this stuff like that. But I will admit, because of Game Pass, it allowed me to play games I would have never have thought to play. But I gave a lot of games chances, and I found myself liking a lot of games. One great example is that game Cocoon. I would have never thought I would want to play a game like that. But it was on Game Pass, and I tried it out, and I fell in love with it. That was like one of the first games I completed this year, earlier this year. Another game like that is Tunic. Would have never considered playing a game like that. It was on Game Pass. I gave it a shot. Loved it. So, I haven't played a Call of Duty game in forever, right? Knowing that I can now hop into a Call of Duty game on Game Pass, I may give it a shot, but I ain't going to fork over another $5 a month to do so. And I could see them doing something like that. Now and that's why I said, like, for people who currently have Game Pass but are not major Call of Duty fans, this may end up sucking for them. Because this may potentially lead to a restructuring of the current Game Pass as we know it now. For old school Call of Duty fans, I would advise against playing on a Game Pass. Why? Because you're going to think, oh, it's easy to go in there now and play the game, and I don't have to fork over $60. But guess what? If this is going to be a game you're going to be playing for a full year, all those monthly fees add up to Game Pass. That you're going to end up finding yourself spending more money than you ever would have if you just bought the game directly. Just being honest. Unless Game Pass offers specific bonuses for those who decide to play Call of Duty on Game Pass. But I'm sure that's also going to come with a tier increase and a price increase. What's going on, Blair Mountain? Diddy Games? What? I don't know what you're talking about. But if you're talking about Diddy Kong games, we haven't gotten one in a while. Diddy Kong. That was another great game back in the day. Donkey Kong Country. Great soundtrack. If you want to talk about like soundtracks of video games, Donkey Kong Country is one of the best soundtracks in video games. Star-Lord, every time I see Call of Duty, those snipers are so damn OP. Might as well be a golden gun from 007. Look, I get amazed with some of the game footage that I see sometimes from Call of Duty. Heck, I played with someone who was just freaking god tier with a lot of stuff in Call of Duty. Dude used to run around maps with just a knife, killing kids. When that happened, I knew my time with Call of Duty is up. And this was before the whole, Warzone stuff that we're getting now. So, yeah, crazy, crazy stuff. So I don't know. The whole future of Game Pass, how it's going to affect the market, what's going to happen with Call of Duty is a very interesting thing to think about. I think at the end of the day, we're going to see so many changes and shifts in the gaming industry in the next couple of years. It's going to be hard to catch up. I'm not looking forward to it. That's why I like going back to just retro games. Why? It's simple, easy to get into. You don't have to dedicate a lot of time. And you don't have to deal with a lot of bullshit. It's not impressive running around trying to outdo kill-death ratios. I guess it's the Metal Gear Solid in me. That's what she said. Ayo!
I'm gonna come.
Jesus Christ! My Call of Duty PTSD big man. Yeah. Freaking knife marathon. Yep. Oh, yeah. Man, AKB and I used to lose our freaking minds and like rage in how pissed off we would get because of this one guy that we played with who was a great friend of ours. Him running around maps, knifing kids behind the back. And none of us can touch him. This dude, talk about OP. He was like God level with this. That's when and I'm sure AKB felt the same. That's when I hung up my Call of Duty hat. I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. I bid you all adieu. And then the only time I ever touched a Call of Duty game was a year or two into the pandemic, when me and another friend, just for shits and giggles, decided to load up Warzone and go into it for the first time. Oh my God. I was not ready for the thrashing that we got. Was not ready. And then again, just another reminder. My Call of Duty days are way behind me. Way behind me. Talk about a total recall.
Wow, 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 wow.
How much you think, them dickless? I'm gonna come.
All right. If there was any note to end on, that is a perfect note to end on. Guys, it's been a great morning. Been a great day. A great afternoon. I'm going to call it for now. It's Sunday. I hope all of you have a relaxing rest of your Sunday. I'll be back live again tomorrow to talk about this horrid box office of a weekend. It's sad, y'all. It's really, really sad. I'll recap the weekend, the box office breakdown. And one thing I kind of wanted to talk about is this year we're seeing a lot of movies re-released in theaters to celebrate anniversaries. I'm going to kind of like pull the numbers and I'm going to see just how well they're actually doing in the theaters. The thing that spurred this up is that, so Sony, every Monday for the last month or 2 months, I would say, have been re-releasing all the Spider-Man movies. And they've seen a drastic decline in attendance with each movie that they put out on Mondays. So it'll just be really interesting to see what the effect is with all that. But again, huge shout out. Thank you so much to Star-Lord, AKB, Cynthia for chiming in, Lil Sa, Audrey, Bailey, Scottish Geek guy that came out earlier, Elazer from Brazil. Sorry, someone from Russia that I couldn't read their name. Geek Ledger, D, Max, of course. Thank you so much for all of your support and for checking out the streams and all your great conversations and all that. If you happen to be around tomorrow, would love to have you there. If not, I'll catch you some other time. So with all that being said, enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Have a great Sunday. Star-Lord, it's been unreal. Have a great day, y'all. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. Peace out, everyone. Bye-bye.